All right, well, thank you so much for coming this morning. I'd like to introduce Crystal Goodwin, who's our Director of Communication and Marketing. We just wanted to share the fun stuff that's been going on at Single Parent Scholarship Fund for the last couple of years. It seems like just a few months, the last couple of years. I have the pleasure of being the Chief Executive Officer of the Single Parent Scholarship Fund. I've been in this particular role for just under a year, but I was Executive Director of the Single Parent Scholarship Fund that resided in Washington County for 4 years. So I'll have 5 years in July, and Crystal's got me beat by about a year. She's 6 years into her role, and we've got a great team who will meet here shortly. So when you think of Single Parent Scholarship Fund, we have been in existence for almost 40 years. Our ultimate goal is a stable and healthy financial situation for single parents living in Northwest Arkansas, Benton, Carroll, Madison, and Washington counties. Our ultimate goal is to provide financial assistance to our single parent families who are low income, usually 250% of poverty or below. So for a family of four, making about $40,000 is usually our threshold, but we do go further and higher depending on the need of the family. But our actual average size of our families are quite small. They're usually one parent to one child. That's kind of the national average too. Households are shrinking significantly around the nation, so you're seeing that change too. So we're helping those single parents who are really wanting to pursue a career related to a course of study to gain, obviously, independence from not only federal and state situations, but maybe an opportunity to move on to their own home, to encourage their child to go to college, etc. We also provide support services for our students and families. We'll dive into that very deeply in a few months, and to provide the second generation approach to break the full cycle of poverty. I know you've got a couple educators or people with education at the U of A in the room and the chamber, and we know that the cycle of poverty is not broken, not just singularly by access to education. It's also access to affordable education, access to affordable housing, affordable transportation, affordable health care, and that really kind of addresses those issues of poverty if they're addressed all at the same time or all in a sequence. One of our scholars had this to say: my scholarship is important to me because I'm taking action to empower myself and my family through higher education. And that's what we're really doing, is that we're empowering our families to take the action that they need or want to make a better life for themselves. So our history started in 1984. Most of you might know Ralph Nesson, who passed away just 2 years ago, tragically, after retirement. He and Marjorie Wolf actually started the Single Parent Scholarship Fund in two different counties. Ralph started in Washington County, and really Marjorie Wolf was truly his mentor during this process. They both worked for volunteered for different agencies. Ralph was the executive director of EOA at the time, and Marjorie Wolf was working with single homemakers and working for the Office of Human Concern as well. And what they found, some overlapping clients were single moms that didn't have a college education. So you're thinking back in 1984, divorce is starting to become less of a faux pas. A lot of women are maybe entering the workforce after divorce, or maybe have never been married. So a lot of changes are happening in the early 80s of that time, especially Northwest Arkansas. You got to think we're just a little bitty town siloed into, Fayetteville, Springdale, Rogers, and Bentonville. So they saw that need for financial assistance to single moms. So they really started off with just providing 8 scholarships in Washington County and 7 in Benton County of $250 each to single moms after they applied and qualified. That's really started the opportunity to pave the way for opportunity for single parents. And in 1992, Ralph left EOA and actually started the Arkansas Single Parent Scholarship Fund to serve the rest of the state. And to this day, we serve 4 counties, and the Arkansas Single Parent Scholarship Fund serves the majority of the rest of the state. So about 64 counties in total is what they serve. And the other counties are actually served by independent boards that run their scholarship programs and their fundraising, et cetera. So Washington County merged with Carroll and Madison County in 2009 because there was actually just not as much service going on over there, even though there's actually a lot of opportunity in Carroll and Madison County. Because they're adjacent to Harrison, Boone County, which is the home of North Ark College. And there's 3 campuses over there in Harrison. So there's the business college, there is the credentialing program department, and then there's actually a FOTech type program as well, workforce development. And then in Berryville, they have a new medical services program as well. So it's not new anymore, it's 2 years old. It happened before COVID, so I consider everything that happened before COVID new. And then on July 1st of 2021, Northwest Arkansas and Benton County merged to become one single parent scholarship fund. Yes, Kathy, thank you. To really support the entire region with our services, but also to really reduce a couple things: redundancy in services, confusion about which county does what, and really just bring a singular focus in for our single parents, because they were just as confused as most folks were, and to really help our institutional partners as well, because we're sending people to the same place. So why not to try to have some continuity of services there. So that took about, we started on that project in September of 2019 and actually launched the process the week COVID broke in Northwest Arkansas. So we actually did the entire conversion, entire merger over Zoom. There was one particular month we did 22 meetings over Zoom in one month, which was exhausting for our board and our staff and our merger team. But I truly don't think it would have happened as quickly if we weren't actually connected to our desk and our cameras. It would have been probably a longer outcome. But since then, we've consolidated our offices and moved to Benton County to really, again, reduce those redundancies. So that's been great. Another quote from one of our recipients: "I want my kids to see that no matter what obstacles are thrown at you, you can keep pushing and work toward your dreams." So this is Jennifer Hackler. No, new last name. She got married. Okay, this is her little boy, Michael. She got her master's, and she got her bachelor's, and then she got her master's in teaching. And she can say she did it, and little Michael helped, and so did they, the pups. She recently got married and is expecting her second child. So she teaches in the Rogers School District in primary school. So she's been one of our fantastic alumni members, and have been involved with our program since her graduation. So. Since 1984, we have awarded 20,000 scholarships, a little over 20,000 scholarships, and dumping $15.3 million back into the economy for our scholarship awards. So, which is a huge number. Just say we started off at $250 per scholarship, and now we're these numbers as effective as of this last year. This is Mandy Beasler. She's another one of our alumni as well. She got her bachelor's in teaching. She was the Fable Teacher of the Year before last. So if you know Mandy, her and her daughters, now is in college. Oldest daughter's now in college and is seeking she wants to become a teacher like her mom. Mandy teaches in special ed, so she's a pretty fantastic lady. This scholarship has made it possible for me to chase my dreams and change my stars. It's given me the motivation to preserve and ever strive to do more and be more and believe more. And that's truly what the vision of the Single Parent Scholarship Fund actually is. So the need, I don't have to tell you guys, you know exactly the challenges in Arkansas and Northwest Arkansas. 1 in 5 children in Northwest Arkansas are in poverty. That's about 186,000, which is one too many. Even though we have a plethora of people think often that Northwest Arkansas is the roads are paved with gold. We know that that's not true, that a lot of people fall through the cracks and there's a lot of need. So we are third highest in child poverty rate in the nation. That's from the Annie Casey Foundation from 2020. So unfortunately, we're not going any down further. We've been in third place, sadly, for quite some time. But we know a major contributing factor to that is the lack of education of the parent, the head of household, because obviously a chance to have a opportunity for a post-secondary education will give you hopefully access to higher pay, insurance, stability for your job, etc. Arkansas also ranks consistently lower in state per capita who hold a bachelor's degree and higher, or a bachelor's degree or higher. And then 90% of mothers who do not hold a college degree are more likely to be in poverty and face limited assets and occupational opportunities. And ALICE is a new term we used to call folks that work hard but can't produce a lot of income. Working poor is now out of style. We now call those folks ALICE, asset limited income constrained employed. Those are what those folks are called. So that was from 2019, the latest information for these last two, this last stat here. My life is better, my son's life is better, my daughter's life is better. And that is truly what we want to see. So by the numbers, this was 2021, we just closed out. We served 246 single parents in that time frame of both organizations within the time of the merger and the time that we merged. 428 children in the program. Scholarships awarded over $700,000. Counseling appointments, we'll talk about that special program, almost 800 counseling appointments. And then we had almost 60 graduates in the program. So we actually average about 60 graduates per year through the program, whether that be through career development or workforce development, bachelor's or master's programs. Average age of recipient is 32. Some people think it's always young women, very, very young women that come to see us. Actually, it's women that are in their early 30s. I won't say mid 30s, early 30s. And the average GPA, which was much better than I did my freshman year. And we're broadcasting live, so my mom can hear that now. I'm be proud. Your support ensures the extra time I can spend helping my daughter with the needs of her classes and relieving the financial stress of being a single parent in college. Community impact. So typically an applicant enrolled in our program makes less than $16,000 a year. So just think about that. You have one child, maybe two children, making $16,000 a year in this economy, in this housing market, and these gas prices. This includes any financial resources they receive, such as food stamps, including housing subsidies or child care vouchers. COVID are shrinking. And that struggle as well. So over the course of 20 years, but over the course of 4 years, we'll invest a minimum of $15,000 in a full-time recipient. And then even studying with the University of Arkansas Survey Research Center a couple of years ago to understand how well our recipients did after graduation. We want to follow the numbers and make sure we're just not giving out a scholarship and making sure they're successful. So on average, a recipient will earn $30,000 program within the first 6 months to year. So going from $15,000 or $16,000 to $30,000 is really kind of a windfall. They work really darn hard to make sure they're successful. Your support helps us know we are seen and cared about in this community. And that's what a lot of our single parents need to know, is that someone is there to help them. A lot of them are by themselves completely navigating this world. They may have escaped a domestic violence situation. They may not have a lot of support from their family. In fact, we've had a lot of recipients come to us and say, my parents don't support me going back to school. They want me to continue on the cycle that they've continued on, which has been on government and state assistance. They don't want to break that cycle of poverty. So they really need the staff, they need the counseling, and they need the programs and services we offer to really help propel them forward. Now, if they don't have the energy and the time and the drive to do it, they're not going to be as successful. And that's why we help them through a couple of different processes. But we'll get through that in a second. So the economic impact, I thought it was so important for us to talk about the economic impact about what we're doing for the organization or for the economy in Northwest Arkansas. So on average, like I said, we had almost 60 grads this year, but we'll take, just for easy math, 50 grads times $30,000 in salary. We put back about $1.5 million in the economy annually. And thinking about that, so additionally, savings of $700,000 is achieved because they're no longer dependent on those state and government assistance. But also, and the easy math is here, so that receive about $13,000 in services annually from the feds or state. So in other words, a one-time investment yields about $2.2 million into the economy every single year when you take an account what amount they're making, what amount we're saving from the state and federal assistance programs, and then the taxes that they're also paying back into the system. So our scholarships, people are often curious about, how do we, well, that's what we do. That's in our name, a single parent scholarship fund in Northwest Arkansas. So we have two programs, a degree program, which includes our associates, bachelor's degrees, and over 22 approved institutions, a licensure in cosmetology, and then certifications at NWTI. So NWTI is Northwest Arkansas Technical Institute in Springdale. I think we finally got that moniker down. It's been a couple of years since they've changed their name. So, and then we have hard deadlines for those applications. So October 15th for the spring semester, March 15th for the summer semester, and then June 15th for the fall semester. So we just closed out for the summer semester. We had a good number of folks who re-enrolled. There were current recipients or some new recipients as well. All our new recipients actually, here's another slide in that. The process. It's another slide.
I don't think so.
So they will actually go through an interview process when they apply. After they go online, it's a very intuitive system that actually they can do on their phone or on a computer, and they upload some documents. And after that's received by our program team, we actually invite them for an interview with our board of directors and our community ambassadors. Our community ambassadors are just volunteers who volunteer at different events throughout the year, but also provide feedback at these interviews for our recipients, like, have you thought about this particular service, or have you thought about this particular piece of information? Sometimes, or oftentimes, our program directors who are in the meetings are making notes about making sure they have access to these services, the food bank, Dress for Success, all of the services that they might actually need. We do hand that off to everybody, but if someone needs a particular piece of service, a particular outreach program, we'll make that note and we'll make sure they get that. So we have program directors that serve Benton and Carroll County and Washington and Madison County. So there's two folks that, so they're really great opportunities for our recipients to have two direct contact points. So we're excited about that. And then something that's very important to our region, especially as we continue to expand what we do, becoming a health destination in Northwest Arkansas, is our Allied Health and Professional Certification Program, and that has no application deadline whatsoever. So we're excited about that program. That continues to grow each year. Those are usually done at NWTI, Northwest Arkansas Community College, Petro Allied Health. Depends really kind of on the program itself. So think about phlebotomy tech, pharmacy tech, medical assistant, those type of really important frontline medical folks that typically stay with us for past that actual credentialing period. We actually allow folks, as long as they are moving forward in their education, to stay on the program, as long as their marital status doesn't change. Obviously, they've got to remain a single parent. Actually, we're actually even following a gentleman. He just got his placement with UAMS Northwest, and we'll follow him into his medical school. So we're very excited about that. So he'll be our second doctor, or third doctor, right? Wow. Second or third? Second. I'm gonna say second. I know second for you. So being able to earn a degree is what my kids need to see in me as a role model. So this is, I don't actually remember her name, so I don't want to point out the wrong name. But
hey, Tyler?
yes.
Can I interrupt you for a
Sure, please.
On these deadlines, like, do you have more recipients than you have funds for, or?
In my time period, we have never had a situation where we haven't had enough applicants. So that's why we want to do outreach as much as possible. We always have extra money, but we have money to allocate to our recipients. So one thing we're looking at right now is actually increasing our scholarship dollars to address obviously the inflation, but also the cost of living. We haven't addressed that in the last 4 years. So it definitely needs to increase. So
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good question. So our services, one of our really important and vital services is a licensed therapist on staff for appointments. She actually is her name is Twyla Ronick, and she actually is a former recipient of the program. So she knows firsthand what it was like to be a single parent, and has our LCSW and has been a wonderful resource for our recipients. So we see individual clients, the recipient themselves, their children, or the entire family. So really a great opportunity. And we've also increased our bandwidth to add master's degree graduate students. So we have one from the University of Arkansas and one from JBU who are also seeing patients or recipients as well. So we increased our bandwidth quite a bit there. And as we grow and get more recipients, we want to increase maybe even a part-time counselor with that other opportunity. A professional development program. So essentially what that means is an opportunity for us to gather as a group via Zoom or in person to really discuss whatever the hot topic of the moment actually might be, whether it be interviewing is always key, right? But also resume writing. LinkedIn has been a hot topic as well. We've talked about cybersecurity for their families to address that, to make sure kids are being safe when they're browsing, especially during COVID when everyone was at home and had access to a computer. Time management from a learning coach. We have tutoring services available as well. One of my favorite programs that we have is the dry pantry. So as you can imagine, making that $15,000 a year, it's you go to the store and you look at Tide and it's $12, $15 for, it may last you a month, or we have everything from feminine hygiene products to toilet paper to deodorant, shampoo, everything. So that's donations based on what we get from the community. And every time a recipient comes in, they can shop. We call shop and get what they need. We have extra school supplies because kids always need pencils and pens and paper, all those kind of fun things. Speaking of back to school, we actually do a couple of back to school activities for our recipients. In August, we partner with Coldwell Banker, and they provide backpacks and all the goodies to stuff into those backpacks for our recipients. Plus, we give a $100 stipend to each child for them to buy whatever else they might need. And we do that in the fall semester and the spring semester as well. So they're getting $200 a year for those back to school needs. That's $100 per child in the family. Professional mentorship. So if we have a recipient come to us that needs, let's say that they're in finance classes and they're having some trouble, kind of connecting to what the next step is to become, maybe a CPA or whatever the case may be. We want to connect them to someone that's in our network to whether it be just over coffee one time or really just a mentorship for a long period of time. We have a vast alumni network who often are our encouragement squad, encouragement cards. They're the ones that have walked the road before and understand what's the recipient has gone through. So that has been a really cool opportunity for our recipients to have access to tutoring options. Math, algebra, especially in English, have been key. And then we do a Thanksgiving and then holiday celebrations and donations. So essentially every adult and every child gets $100 for the holidays to have presents under the tree. If they don't have other resources, or not every single recipient takes advantage of that, they may do sharing is caring or may do the angel tree, but we actually offer that as an opportunity as well. I value education because my kids are watching my every move. I feel like what they see me accomplish has a huge impact on what they will do in their own lives. And truly, that is the case where you have a lot of recipients doing homework alongside their children, especially during COVID. We saw that a lot. They were teaching their children, doing their own homework, and then trying to work as they can. So. We didn't talk about the application process. So interested and eligible applicants log onto our website and fill out an online application, and they submit all the required documents. So essentially we're looking for a driver's license, a proof of residency, but we do have DACA status recipients, and then we work a lot with Canopy as well. So we have plenty of folks that necessarily, we just require some of those documents just to have on file. Tax returns, just to prove your income, and then divorce decrees, those type of things, if they're not in place, just to have those. And then we had the interviews, as I mentioned previously, which I think is one of the most interesting things to get involved with as a volunteer, but also so crucial for our recipients. It's funny when you see a recipient go in for the first time to an interview, they're obviously very nervous, going to a room full of 4 or 5 people they don't know. And then, the second or third time they go in, they're like, I got this. I know what I'm talking about. I've got a plan, but there's always tears, no matter what. There's always tears. There's always crying. My office is shared, not shared, but I share a wall with the interview room. Actually, in all my offices, I've always shared a wall. There's always wailing of somebody. There's laughing too, which is good, but someone always cries. So, and it's always that question about how are your kids doing? How is this impacting your kids? Because they're truly doing this for their children. This is what they're doing. Applications are reviewed, and then scholarships are awarded. Now, if someone's not ready for the program, they're not quite just quite ready for those steps yet, we might recommend, if they're looking for an associate's degree, we may recommend maybe a workforce development degree first, to kind of get them ready for the rigors of going to school full time, or might put them on a Crystal, help me with the term. Supportive services. So they're actually getting services, wraparound services, but not necessarily a cash award. So just because they were denied doesn't mean they're not in the single parent scholarship family. They're still engaged. They're still getting services. They may not get that cash award. Let's see, eligibility. So it's really, really small, but I will read it. So a single parent is defined as a family with a child under the age of 18 and or a severely disabled child over the age of 18, headed by a parent who is widowed, divorced, and or never married, or by a parent who is never married and is caring for a child without assistance from another partner in the home. So essentially they can't live with the biological parent in the home. Resident of Benton, Carroll, Madison, Washington County. So I mentioned 250 at poverty level, living at or near that level. Eligible for Pell Grants is really important. We want to make sure we're maximizing their opportunity to get those federal grants. Arkansas Scholarship Lottery as well, Fund My Future, any opportunity we can to get them other scholarships, because I want to talk about the uniqueness of our scholarship in a few minutes too. High school diploma, a GED, and must maintain a 2.0. So the uniqueness of our program is that they can do one of two things. They can have us write the check directly out to a number of different recipients. So let's say they want to pay their babysitter up as much as they can. So we write a check to the babysitter directly. Or they want to for us to send a check to their landlord. We can do that. Or we can split that up 4 different ways into 4 different scenarios. They pay the water bill, whatever the case may be. So they're using their money the way that they actually know the best way possible, where we want to support them in those efforts. We want to coach them through those efforts, or we can write that directly to them, and then they can spend that the way that they choose. So that has become the uniqueness of our scholarship. That way, that because truly these men and women are bright, intelligent, and resourceful, and know much better how to spend their money than we do. So, and they know where their deficit is. So that is really I think one of the coolest parts. And we don't require, since we've gone through a very rigorous application process and review process, we don't ask for receipts back, those type of things. So they are free to do, we know they're not going to Cherokee Casino. We know that they're actually spending money on the resources that they need to spend resources on. So in fact, we actually have a program where they can actually save those funds back. We call that tier 1. They can save those funds back until the semester or till the year ends. And we have recently had a recipient who had saved up from the Benton County side for a number of years. And she actually was able to use Pell Grants and a couple other, she actually Arkansas Scholarship Lottery, and then Arkansas, what's the big one? They pay for 100%. Arkansas Star or Superstar, something. Yes, Arkansas, it's the big one. We've had a couple of recipients get that, but she was able to take $8,000 that she was awarded through our scholarship fund and put that down towards her down payment on her brand new home for her kids after graduation. So we felt so cool about that, and we didn't do anything. We just helped along the way. So we were more excited than she was. I don't know. She was pretty jazzed. So could you imagine, leaving school, having a degree, moving into a brand new home with your children? It's just really awesome. When I'm finished, my son will see the rewards of hard work and determination. I will certainly have more income, but more importantly, I'll have more confidence. And that's what truly is built in this program, where our counselors, all of our staff, since we do have a small staff, a lot of us are involved in day-to-day seeing our folks. And that's what I love about this job is I've worked at 4 other nonprofits in my 22-year career. And this is the only job that I've really had the direct I'm looking for the word, the direct opportunity to interact with our recipients. And it's been really just monumental for me, selfishly, to be honest. So who we are, board of directors. We have 22 board of directors who are from our founding board, and the rest are a mix from Benton, Carroll, Madison, and Washington counties. Our board chair is Shelley Summers. From the Rogers Chamber of Commerce, Randy Warner is our vice chair from Old Buildings, and then Brian Wood is our treasurer from Arvest, and then it's tip of my tongue. Our secretary is Johnny's. Gosh, she's Gleason. She's on there. Yeah. Oh, well.
Yes, she is.
Okay. Yes,
She is.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. And then Ruth Collier and Doris Cordes have been with us for 38 years as emeritus or founding board members. So they keep our course straight, which is great, and remind us of our roots. And they both keep telling me, like, whenever you want us to go, we'll be happy to resign. And I was like, it's like telling my grandmother to resign. And I said, absolutely not. So both ladies are lovely and wonderful and have been involved in Doris through the University of Arkansas, both her and her husband, and then Ruth in the healthcare industry over the years. So another quote from our recipients: "Thank you for helping me achieve my dreams." So our professional staff, there's Shannon Campbell, our COO, Carrie Miller. She's been with us 20 years in June. She's been our longest serving employee. We actually, in our 30 or almost 40-year history, we didn't have staff up until actually 25 years ago. So or 23 years ago. So she's the only remaining full-time staff member we had originally. So Frankie Rankin is our Chief Philanthropy Officer. Many of you might recognize Stephen Hines as our Senior Director of Corporate Gifts. Crystal Goodwin is here today, of course. Caitlin Taylor is one of our program directors. Mallory Mounts is our annual fund and grants manager. Sarah Stripling holds the development and program team together as the manager. Renee Hutton is our executive administration and finance manager. Twyla Ronick is our wonderful director of counseling services, and then Gina Johns is Caitlin's counterpart and handles Washington and Madison counties. Upcoming events, if you want to support our organization, Spark of Hope is on Oh gosh, there's no date.
July.
July
28th.
28th, right?
Yeah.
At,
Just want to see how good you are.
I'm on vacation this week. I don't know if you- So the Spark of Hope is our formal gala, essentially formal gala, not formal, it's not formal at all, but is our only gala event. The way we raise funds obviously is through part of our 92% or so of our overhead costs are covered by a private family foundation. The rest of that we raise. And then the scholarship funds actually come from our endowment. We take 1/3 of our scholarship funds a year out of our endowment. So we have a lifetime endowment that has been being established since the last 40 years. It's now about $11 million. So we take about 1/3 of that $11 million every year. We take 1/3 of our scholarship budget out every year. And then we raise the other 2/3 through 3 major events. So Spark of Hope, Golftoberfest, which is Northwest Arkansas's original mini golf tournament. Very fun. That's in October. Runs for 2 weeks here in Fayetteville and up in Rogers. And then we had Jingle Mingle, which is our holiday celebration that we do. That was our first event back after 2 years. We held that in December. We had a full house at Herring Crest over in Springdale. It was a great event. Opportunity to connect with us. We're on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our website has all the information you could ever want about other qualifications, the schools that we actually fund. And we actually are always looking for opportunities to speak like this. Crystal is looking for opportunities to speak to any group, whether it be a social group, civil servant group, civic servant group, your church group, whatever it might be. Today you get to take home a bag of goodies that I encourage you to, there's a brochure or 2 in there that I encourage you to forward on to someone you might know that needs some help. Everyone has a single parent in their life somewhere, shape or form that might be interested in the program, or a family member that might know someone that needs the program. Truly is an opportunity to have some life-changing efforts for single moms and dads. I don't want to forget the dads, you know, even though we only have three men on our program. 4? Oh, good. 4 men on the program right now. We don't want to forget that opportunity to make that impact. In fact, we've had both parents, mom and dad on the program at one time, which is not unusual to see. As long as they have joint custody, or they have custody, when they have joint custody, that is certainly fine. We would love to see that opportunity. And much to Kathy's point is that we always have the opportunity to, I always issue to the board, when we get close to kind of meeting that mark of not having enough money to distribute to every recipient, I say, okay, board, let's empty our pockets. Let's get ready for an opportunity to give, and we always answer that call. So that is the great part about our organization. We have a very giving community, or we want to be here for as long as we've had them. So questions?
You still need volunteers, or are you
Constantly?
Constantly?
Community Ambassador Group is really the group that we call forward through volunteers. It's simply a very easy application process. We just have you fill out an online form. You and I meet for coffee, and then we plug you in. We ask you to do 1 event a year, and then promote us on social media. So volunteering at one of the events or sitting in on the interviews, I think, is so impactful. That is one thing I really insist on folks doing. They don't have to, but I really think they don't get what we do until they have that opportunity to sit on those interviews. It's a requirement for our board of directors to sit on those once a year, just because you really, even though they know the mission already, but to see the mission in action and to see the recipients, the opportunities, that's what we love to have. So we do take advantage of some nursing students who are helping us out. In a couple of weeks, we have a brunch for our distinguished scholars. So our scholars, we have 72 distinguished scholars this year that are supported by our long-term investments endowment donors who have named a scholarship after themselves or their family or their company. And they'll be named and awarded at the Fayetteville Library next April 2nd. So we have Eleanor School of Nursing students are coming to help us, and then a couple of fraternity brothers from Pike are coming to help drive the golf carts in the rain if it's raining, or if it's breezy, or just if they need to drive the golf carts. So I think they're more excited about driving the golf carts. So that's an opportunity, and just being an ambassador for us, sharing the information about our program. Actually had a dream last night. Maybe it was a nightmare. Someone came to me and said, "You're not serving enough students." And I was like, "I'm trying, but we don't have enough marketing dollars." And Crystal will agree with me, is that the more people know about what we do, now that we've consolidated the organization and made us, more clear about our mission and where we're going forward, is really cool. I do want to mention one more thing before we leave. Even though we are in Bentonville, our office is in Bentonville, we have a hub and spoke model. So we are actually now at least once a week at the new Student Success Center at the University of Arkansas. They've given us a beautiful corner office to meet with current recipients or future applicants. That's been really awesome. And then also at the Northwest Arkansas Community College, Washington County campus, the same situation as well. So, so folks don't necessarily have to come all the way to Benton County to receive services. We can do Zoom, of course, for counseling, but if they need, we even take some of our dry pantry items up there too. So for folks, so that's been a great, our institutions help us obviously in the application process too. They'll flag people for us and maybe even refer people to them from once they apply. If they identify them as a single parent, they can send them to us too. So good question, Kathy.
I had a question.
Yeah.
We're short on time.
I think we're good.
So thinking of other, ethnic groups in this area, Hispanic or Marshallese, are there other language like advertising, for those groups that may not have ever heard of this, but are traditionally the ones that really need, higher education to get better paying
And the
jobs?
challenge with that, if they don't necessarily speak English, there's really not a source for them to actually get an extended education. Now, Dayspring International at the University of Arkansas helps out with some of those tutoring options. But truly, and that's the challenge of really being able to have ESL and be able to speak English well enough to learn the nuances of the degree. So that's one challenge we do see. Our latest stats from 2021 was 8% African American, 6% Latinx.
A little higher.
A little higher. Okay.
A little higher.
Yeah. So maybe
Like
10%.
26.
26. Okay. I was off.
23 or so, yeah.
Okay. See, this is what she does presentation.
So they really are
And we-
hearing about it.
Yeah, so we are actually, we have currently running since January of this year on 2 local Latin stations, Lazita and I think Hot Latin. And then we do have some pamphlets and flyers that are also have been written in Spanish too, that we can give out. So we work with
Hispanic Women's
Hispanic Women's Association. We partner with them quite a bit and we go to a lot of their events that they have. So they're always so gracious to have us and everything. And we try to be very involved with the Latino community. We also have 2 students currently in our program that are of the Marshallese descent. And so they've even come and spoke with us sometimes on some things, and they do an excellent job of, I think one is a teacher or works in the school system and is getting her education and teaching. And she's such a great advocate for us as well, especially within her community too.
You've got to have that opportunity. You got to have someone open the door before you.
They are a very tight-knit community. So.
I don't blame them. We've done a lot of things to them over the years. They definitely should be cautious or are cautious, and that's part of the opportunities that we have is seeing a lot of opportunities in the Marshallese and Hispanic community. We participate every year in the Fayetteville Hispanic Festival, and just any opportunity we can to see more folks in the door is great. I think the expansion though, what we'll see over the next few years is more of the credentialing and workforce development to get people employed quickly. As you see everywhere is hiring right now, $15 an hour. We have the lowest unemployment rate in Arkansas history, I believe. Is that true?
That is true.
Development
Yes, it
director?
is.
So that's hard to compete with sometimes when you're asking a person to say, okay, I'm going to leave everything I know behind. I'm going to go work part-time, cutting my money in half. I'm going back to campus. I'm strapped on a backpack, which would be the scariest thing in the world, for me at least, to go back on campus and go back to school. So these folks are so brave and willing to make it. They see the future for their families, and then what we hope obviously is that their kids are following in their footsteps, and we see that time and time again. And then that's when we see that transition or that breaking of the poverty cycle. So that's the exciting part. So
I have a question for you based on, you said that y'all can allocate funds to wherever the recipient wants those to go. Do they have to prove that they are enrolled in classes or anything before that happens?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes, there's everything from, you want to talk about that specifically?
Sure, like that's some of the documentation that we ask them to upload when they're applying for the first time or even reapplying. So they have to upload. If they're just starting school, then they have to give us like the letter saying they've gotten into the school, that the university or whoever sends to them. And then once we get that, then and they go do the orientation or whatever, we get their class schedule. So we base our awards are funded based on how many hours they're taking. So an award is different if they're taking 12 hours versus 6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We have
then,
three funding levels. So part-time, three-quarter time, and part-time, full-time.
that was like, that's what I couldn't figure out in my head was, do you give it, like at what point is it awarded? So if I said, I want to go back to school, I'm a single parent.
Right.
So I would have to go through the process of like getting admitted and everything
Yes.
before I would be considered.
Yes, and we talk to them, especially new applicants. We're like, okay, this is gonna be our application process, but you need to do A, B, and C with the school, kind of in conjunction with the application process with us too. That way, we're kind of all on the same track and we're not waiting for documentation and things are getting turned in on time. And that's kind of really good for the student too, because the program directors can kind of like help them navigate. So we have a lot of contacts at our partner schools that we can just reach out to, especially if we're very unfamiliar with the like certain degree program or something like that. We can get in touch with those people and be like, okay, this person is wanting to do this, but ultimately they're wanting to transfer. They were going to NWAC, but they want to transfer to the UVA. What classes do they need to take? And we don't want them to take any classes that they don't necessarily not need, because we want them to be not spending their funds on things and classes that they don't need. So we work very closely with them on things like that.
It's very cool. Y'all got a really great network. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a network for the program directors
Yes.
to get it done. And, the trust is immense between the recipient, and because we're asking for a lot for them to do a lot, obviously to get money, but truly is, we hope we lock into a partnership for a very long time with them. And again, like we have folks, like I mentioned, the doctor that the soon-to-be doctor, I keep calling him doctor, the gentleman that's enrolled in UAMS Northwest, he'll have 16, 17 scholarship awards through us, and over the course of his time. So it's really cool that people stick with us that long.
And I don't know if Tyler mentioned, but one of the things when we're talking about our counseling services, those are free for our recipients and their children. So that's a huge benefit for a lot of them. And many of our recipients and their children utilize those services. Twyla is also licensed in play therapy. So I always tell people her office is the coolest office because she has all the cool toys.
It has the sandbox.
Yeah, we have sensory toys now too, which is even cooler. So yeah, it's great. If you guys are ever up in Bentonville, please stop by, and we'd love to show you around our offices.
And using the interns has been a great opportunity for us, but also for them to just have access to different clients. And there's always assumptions about what a single parent actually is, and who they are, and what they need. And it's different. It's different per person. And we hope to remove those biases, especially about poverty. And those are key. So that's why we're out and talking about people. So we thank the Fayetteville Chamber for the opportunity to speak, and have always been supportive of us and our opportunities. And so again, thank you so much. We'll stick around after the broadcast is over, and don't forget your goodie bag, please. Thank you.